Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Banking on Experience. I'm your host, James Gilbert, sponsored by CRMNEXT. I'm really excited because today I'm joined by a colleague of mine. His name is Mike Miller. I think the world of this guy, and I cannot wait for us to dive into the details of this topic. Mike happens to be the VP of Success at CRMNEXT. He leads product partnerships and customer success. Today, we are going to be talking about what it's like to be a human leader. Interesting topic, and it should be fun. Mike,
Excited.
Welcome to the show. Welcome
Appreciate
to the show,
you having
my
me,
friend.
James. Yeah.
So let's actually start. I'd like to ask you a personal question, if that's okay. Describe your perfect day outside of work.
Perfect day outside of work. Wow, that's a lot. It's a loaded question technically because I love movies, I love concerts, I love family, I love food, I love golf. Right. So if it was a full 24-hour day, I love to sleep. Right. So I'm going to try to compact everything that I love into one thing. So I would probably wake up. I'm an early riser. I'd probably do a quick 30-minute workout. Quick. If it's a full day, I usually try to only do a shorter one. I'd probably grab a tee time at my favorite golf course, which is called Wasatch. It's the mountain course up at Wasatch State Park, and play 18 holes with my dad and brothers. I would, hopefully be done by lunchtime. I would come home, maybe take a quick 20-minute nap, if that's possible, because I love naps. I love sleeping. I'd probably go and take my wife and get a massage somewhere, and we'd have our little bit of alone time for the next hour or two. We'd come back. I would probably cook something in my smoker. I really, really like pork. I'd probably smoke a pork butt, and then probably to end it all, do something with my kids, even my extended family, just whether we go to a park and hang out, whether we go to a music festival, whether we go to a movie, right? I'm a big social person with my family and friends. Even if my friends wanted to come at that point, right? Anyone would be invited at the end of the day to hang out and have a good time with us. So that's probably what it would look like over the course of, an 18-hour day if you squeeze it all in there.
Love it. We actually kind of joke around internally with Mike because we sometimes will go out kind of late to dinners, and we're always kind of worried that he's going to take a nap on us in the middle of dinner.
Yeah, it's true. Grandpa Miller is what I'm often referred to as. So.
Oh, that's great, Mike. Love it. So let's talk a little bit about the topic at hand. What is a commonly held belief about being human as a leader and in customer success that you passionately disagree with?
Yeah, so it's probably one that you might have a hard time hearing, right? Because you're a big data guy, and I love that you're a data guy, right? Your data is like, I love seeing your data. I love everything that you present with your data, and data can be extremely valuable. And a lot of people make decisions based off of that data that's there. And I do appreciate that. One thing that I think that I disagree with in the industry is that data doesn't have the human element piece, the human interaction, the human thought, and maybe ultimately the human heart, right? Like, what's the real purpose of this data? What's it doing for me? What's it serving? Who's it serving, and why? And that data is important for sure, but I think that's where the human piece comes into play to help drive the real interaction of what decisions we should be making. And I think that's why I'm in customer success is the human element piece. We're all here, and we all want to strive to improve, and the data helps with that. So customer success, I believe, helps probably marry those two together. But again, for some reason, there's dashboards that are created, there's all this analytics softwares that are out there, and I find value in them, but the human piece, I think, is really important there.
I love it, Mike, because you know what's funny is so I've talked to quite a few different marketers at the C level and lower that have a major problem with trying to make their data so it is actionable. Here's the other thing. Sometimes your data is how you can become more human in a lot of ways. So that's the tail end of that, right? It can help you make smarter decisions, but it also can fall flat. A good example of this is there's a lot of marketers out there that use a tech called Bombora, right? It's a technology that helps give you intent data. Now, this is no knock on Bombora. Bombora is great, but by itself,
we use it. I'm familiar with it a little bit. Yeah.
So it doesn't give you everything you need, like that human touch. So, for example, if we just use Bombora as a data point, rather than listening to our customers on what they're saying, we're gonna miss it, right? So I think there's also the combination of being able to bring in data, but also bringing in the human side of capturing data that is more anecdotal and making it actionable. What do you think about that?
No, you're spot on. It's the combination of the two. It's interesting, right? Because there's data that drive action, and I think a lot of people want that action, right? They want it, but is the action in the right place? Again, it's I think you have to have the two together to say, are we doing the right thing with this action? Data can't question itself. Only we can question the data, right? So anyway, that's we're going too deep there. I feel like we gotta bring it back up a little bit.
Well, let's actually do that. So let's talk about your customer success background. How does customer success even tie into this topic?
I just because it's probably how I was raised, right? I'm very service oriented. My father was a business owner of an electrical contracting business here in Utah, was very successful in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And I saw from him, from a service standpoint, he would go into this building and light it up, literally, right? All the lights, all the plugs, all the switches. And that was very rewarding to see that work be done. And he did a lot of big projects, from Home Depot buildings and stores to it was called the Salt Palace expansion. It's where the Utah Jazz used to play when they first moved to Utah, right? He did the Salt Palace expansion in 1999, 2000. And I saw a lot of fulfillment in that, right? When I was young. It took me a while to recognize that. But then with my mom, most kind person, right? I think every person can talk about their mom and say how special they are, right? And it's true. I will say that about my mom. Most kind and serving person I've ever met. And I'm truly saying that. She's extremely selfless. And customer success to me felt like it was a good combination of being able to serve someone. And if you find fulfillment in that, right? Like I saw with my dad's business and what he was able to do, that fulfillment piece is huge. And now in technology, we've come up with this term customer success. And I kind of recognized that I had this ability to listen and serve and provide and deliver something that's going to make someone happy, right? And see what that outcome is and see how it comes to life, so to speak. And I find that very rewarding. I find it challenging. And the human piece of that, right, is the grind. Every day you have to do new things and explore new things and be challenged and question things. And that's what makes it human, right? Is all of that interaction and that piece. And that's where coming back to the data, marketing data right now, it's crazy, right? Like I could probably spend a whole day talking with you about it and we'd still not cover anything. Well, that human piece that comes into play for customer success, I think is what's most important. And that's why the industry saw it, right? We saw the need to insert someone who can expertly drive a customer towards a positive outcome or positive resolution or a success, right, in their so to speak industry or field.
I mean, we very rarely ever talk about like CRMNEXT on this podcast, right? We just don't, right? But one of the things that I think that we do really well as CRMNEXT is really dive into that human side, right? Because it's in our sales process, it's in our marketing, and then after people talk to us, it's in our customer success and implementation process. And I think that that's something that I love that we're highlighting this, because I do think it's value add that we bring to the table. It's part of our brand. It's part of our promise, for the record.
It's the partnerships that you're talking about, right? We want to partner with our customers. Whether we call them a customer or a partner, right? We're in this together with those whom we work with, and that partnership should carry for a long time, right? We should, that human piece is huge, because everyone wants to be able to bring that to life and partner with this for a absolutely positive outcome and solution. So that's why I'm passionate about it. I'm just glad I've been successful in this field, right? I'm glad that it's there. So CRMNEXT is a perfect example of that.
Well, when we relate this back to credit unions or financial institutions in general, what can they stop doing today to make sure that they're being more human in their service interactions?
I once had he was a VP that I reported to when I very first started in customer success, and his motto was it wasn't the Nike motto of just do it. He said it was only do it, right? Just only do it, right? And I think what I've come to try to make it and tweak it into my own is to listen and then do it. And I think a lot of credit unions and a lot of banks, a lot of financial institutions as a whole, they're going through this pivot right now, or this shift and change because of what's happened with the world. And a lot of them are still trying to figure out what to do. Well, really, I think we need to listen to what your customers, if you're a bank, your customers, if you're a credit union, your members, right? If you're a investment company, right? Your portfolio, whoever it is you're working with, you need to listen to what it is they're doing, and then go and do what it is that they're asking, and execute on it. And the other piece that I want to add to it is now, do it now, right? So listen. And the reason why is because there's no time better to do something than in the present. I think a lot of people try to plan and try to think about what comes in the future. Well, I will admit sometimes I'm bad at planning, for the next 6 months. But for what I'm going to do today, what I'm going to do even next week, I'm pretty good at planning next week. I'm going to do those things now. I'm listening to what a customer tells me. I immediately want to try to act on that. I implement what they want. So it's huge. So that would be what I think, right? Financial institutions need to do is listen and act and do it now, based off of what they're hearing.
This kind of reminds me of a story. It's a little bit of a personal one on my end, but I've talked a lot on the podcast about how during the pandemic, we purchased an RV. And when we purchased the RV, we had such a good experience with the credit union that happened. So we ended up changing all of our banking. I'm talking about like all of our banking from Chase to this credit union. Now, it's an amazing story, right? However, I will say this. We have had so many problems since we switched in the area that I spend a lot of my time in outside of work, which is I do a lot of day trading, right? With stocks. I do stuff with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin and things like that. And guess what this credit union does not do? They do not integrate with Stripe, which is the main provider to allow me to do simple things in my life, right?
Right.
I can't use Venmo because they don't integrate with Venmo. And this is stuff that like you gotta do. Stop dinking around with it. You want to be seen as somebody who wants to bank with and make it easy. And I think that is the core to everything. If you want to make, if you had to narrow it down to what you should stop doing today, stop making it difficult for your members to be your members. Stop making it difficult for your customers to be your customers. And I think the outcome of that, right, is what you start doing is exactly what you just said, which is listen and then do it.
Yeah. There's so much that's there, right? The voice, and we know, right, that the experience management or experience management feedback or voice of the customer, right? We're hearing a lot of those terms right now, and it's important to understand your and listen to your member base, your customer base, whatever it is, right? And try to just focus on their needs. And a lot of financial institutions still are, they know they have to change something, and do they know once they hear it, even can we change this? We just got to do it. You're spot on there. I'm sorry you've had a poor experience, and that's probably why you're not naming who the
I didn't have that's the crazy thing, is it was an incredible story. Like, I would talk about this credit union all the time. I've told everybody how we switched to it. I mean, I've said the name several times on this podcast, but now, like, we're in the thick of it. We're now loyal members, and I regret my decision.
Right.
And that's sad, right? That's really sad, because we literally, like, I have a bank account, a checking account for every one of my kids. I have 4 kids, right? Yeah. I have a bank account. I have like 3 different bank accounts and checking accounts for me and my wife, because we manage our money through those different areas. And then we have the RV loan, and we have other things that we have with them. And it just blew me away that once we became a member and we started using the products that they have, that just the simplicity of being able to just do day-to-day things that all of us do, I couldn't do it.
There's something to be said, right? If are they listening to you? And if they're not, why not? Why are they not listening to you? So that's huge. It's huge. I should say financial institutions can't continue to afford, right? The word of mouth is big, right? Especially right now with what's happened in the world. There's going to be a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of shift. I think people are going to start looking at and doing things with their money differently.
And by the way, a competing credit union in the exact same region that we're in does it.
Yeah. Venmo is huge, right? So I will come out and say it. I bank at Mountain America Credit Union. I've been there since I was 18, right? So I've been there over 20 years. There's been few bumps in the road. Everyone has those, right? But it's what happens on the other side of those bumps where I don't know if I'll ever go from there. I have a brother who works for BMW Financial. He's moved out of state, across the country. Sure, he's opened up some stuff with Chase, right? We know Chase is pretty good at banking, but he still has his Mountain America account to this day. I have friends who work at other credit union institutions and still have an account at Mountain America. So, that's there. Mountain America is a good institution, at least for me. So kudos to them. I don't know if they'll listen to this, but hopefully they do.
Yeah. So let's actually bring it back to how you measure success for this stuff. Mike, how do you today measure customer success and the KPIs that maybe financial institutions should maybe start measuring more regularly?
For us, there's so many different ways to measure it, right? And whether it's your profit margins, your lifetime membership there's so many, there's just revenue per member, right? There's so many different ways to look at it, and to quantify how you should measure this. For us, KPIs, we're mainly measuring it internally based off of the expansion of our product, right, and the features and enhancements that our product can do for banks and credit unions, and how they enhance the customer or member experience. And then obviously, right, there's the financial institutions achievements, right, and what they want to look for, and we just try to align what those are. And so the way we measure the outcomes or the objectives or goals that our partners and customers have is just by going through them, and if their goal is to increase revenue by a certain percentage, how can our platform do that? And so there's a lot of different KPIs that are available with that. I think as an organization, you need to sit down and look at some specific ones. Again, going back to voice of the customer, member or customer satisfaction score is huge right now. Net promoter score is huge right now, because those are, in your face indicators of how your member experience or your customer experience is, and how that metric is affecting your bottom line, your revenue.
I'm going to add to this. I'm going to add to this right here, because I think that you're onto something that I think more folks need to hear. It's not just the NPS on your overall brand. It's the NPS on your micro products and micro journeys too. So when we think about all the different products that you offer at a financial institution, a credit card, a mortgage, a boat loan, I mean, the list goes on, a line of credit, a home equity, right? All of those things are products. All of those things have a unique experience and a micro journey to them on a buyer journey. So if we go through the buyer journey, what is the experience like? And you really need to track NPS with each one of those, because each one of them is going to tell you where your gaps are. If you track NPS holistically, then it's going to tell you, hey, whether we're good as a brand overall or whether we're not doing so good as a brand overall.
Yeah, you bring up the point that, whether you're walking into a branch and applying for a loan, right, for an RV, or you're online and trying to transfer funds or trying to make a payment or whatever it is, right? There's so many different touch points or areas in that journey, that micro journey that you're talking about, where can it be measured? What questions should we ask when we're measuring, right, and this experience or this touch point? And ultimately, what are we going to do? Again, what are we going to do once we get this feedback? Once we have it, all right, can we improve our system somehow? And that's where CRMNEXT, actually, if we want to tie it back, we can help simplify some of that. In fact, we will simplify that in those micro journeys. What's it like when someone needs to replace a credit card, or what's it like when you're online and you're doing an account opening, right? And there's step by step. What does it look like for the member or the customer? What does it look like internally for the financial institution? And can we simplify that? Yes, you should be able to. Everyone should be able to, in one shape or form, whether that's with our product or someone else's product. Do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Let's end on this question.
Okay.
What is something everyone or a lot of folks are doing or trying to do that you've discovered a better way?
Oh, shoot. You caught me off guard with this one. I think something that everyone is trying to do that, it's probably planning, right? I think a lot of people, there's a lot of planning that's going on. And for us, and maybe I shouldn't try to tie it back to our product specifically, but what we're focused on as an organization is to simplify, right? Planning right now, I think people look at this huge scenario, right? What are our what do we want to do in 2021 or 2022 already? People are thinking about it. Well, I maybe just want to bring it back and simplify it to say what's right in front of us that we can accomplish and do right now. The immediate task at hand. Who's it going to serve? What's it going to improve? What's it going to do? I think a lot of people, they're planning because of the coronavirus and what it did and the effects of that, right? Everyone's trying to plan right now. And that's something that I think is definitely valid. But, what are you actually going to do right now for it? And simplifying your processes, simplifying our processes internally, simplifying everything I think is something that we should focus on. I'm trying to do it, right? For myself, for my team, for our organization. It's something that resounded with me when I came on to CRMNEXT is, it's one of our culture pillars, so to speak, is to simplify work. Well, I've been home now with the coronavirus for the last year, give or take. And is it easy? How do I make it easier to cook dinner every night? How do I make it easier to help with the laundry or help, do things? I've literally tried to wrap my head in how to simplify everyday things in my life. And maybe that's again, I'm trying to not relate it just to our product, but just simplifying it. A lot of people plan, and I'm not saying it's bad to plan. It is. It's very good to plan. Everyone should do it. But so I'm trying to just simplify everything for me and myself and my circle, so to speak. And my work is part of that circle. So I love that piece.
I like it. Yeah, I like this. I think planning is very underlooked. I mean, and it's got to be deeper than to plan ahead, but what you can do right now. So I think that's something that's a good takeaway. Mike, we are at time.
Okay.
Where can people reach you?
I mean, my email. I think if people want to reach me, I'll give out my number. My cell phone number is 801-455-7703. You can text me, you can call me. If it's later at night, I may not answer, right? I might be sleeping. But you can definitely text me. My email is mike.miller@crmnext.com. If people want to contact me that way, do it. Come to me with any questions. I hope you do. I hope right, there's questions that you have, and whether they're for me or for James or for whatever it is, I'll answer anything. I'm here for anybody.
Love it. Thanks for joining us, Mike. For those of you who want to subscribe to the podcast, please go to Apple or your favorite podcast outlet. Go there, subscribe. And also, if you wouldn't mind, give us a review. We would love to hear from you as well. So if you want to reach out, if you have an idea for a topic, I am all ears. Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it. By the way, you're fantastic. I love you. Appreciate you. Everything you do. So thanks for having me. It means a lot.
You bet.